Hello folks, just another quick video before bed. Actually, I'm later in bed tonight than I was last night or the night before, so interesting. Exactly why that is, I do not know. No idea at all. But there you go. Okay. Now, as I said in the last one, I've got lots of questions that I need to speak to God about. I mean, as I say, the point I said in the last one, do I think I'm going to have any strong relationships with people in this church? And when my answer was no, it's like, then what am I doing? Then why am I going to this church? That's something I've really got to speak to God about, because, the only reason why I was going, it wasn't for the worship. Well, it would never be for the worship. Well, I say churchy. Churchy isn't me. So that's never going to attract me. The ministry is okay, but because it's okay, is it going to be what I'm going to church for? No. Because it's okay, but it's not more than okay. So okay. So it has to be fellowship, because one thing I was short of was fellowship. Because as I said, I've got very good worship. And if I'm right on what God's been talking to me about over the year, He's been, He's given me a lot of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and He's certainly increased that over the past year. So I'm doing okay for ministry sort of thing, because God has been ministering to me, if I'm right about that. So therefore, it really is fellowship with others, and it's about sharing what God has given me. I can't share it, so therefore it knackers that point. So the only other point about fellowship will be about developing relationship with people. Well, with the pastor, I don't think that's a possibility. Not as in a long-lasting relationship. Can we develop a relationship to the point of view where we can understand each other? Yeah. Can we develop a relationship where we will know each other for years? No. I don't believe so, not in any way, shape or form, because even tonight he was talking about the fact of there are a lot of people that thought that when he went back to Tennessee to bring his wife back, pretty much, well, to do the conference there and then bring his wife back, that he wouldn't be coming back. There are some people who thought he wouldn't be coming back, and so he just spent a bit of time explaining that no, he was always intending to come back. And they signed up for a year initially, but they believe they'll be here for the rest of this year and maybe next year. After that, they don't know. Well, okay. In my understanding, it's going to take longer than that amount of time to develop a relationship. It's going to be, a lifelong sort of thing. Something that's going to be really seriously invested. I think that's going to take a bit longer. So, that's okay. As I say, it's okay. It's just me asking the questions. Anyone else there? I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't get the impression that would be the case. No. Not in any way, shape or form. I could be wrong. So so therefore I'm going to ask questions. And as I say, all this situation with regards to the dogs and me moving and all that's all up in the air. And that's all relevant. Everything's relevant. The video I talked about logical hopes. Logical hope. All of that is relevant. Put it this way, if my dogs come back to me here, where I am right now, and I stay here, then it's going to be, even going to church is going to be really difficult. Really difficult. Because while they were with me, I never went to church. Well, I say churches have only morning services. They don't really have evening services. So therefore, I never went to church. because it just wasn't practical. Practicality was part of it, and part of it was, why would I go to church? What is there for me? Yeah. Well, so earlier on, when I spoke to the pastor, he mentioned about that I was creating division in the church, and he mentioned one example where I spoke to a chap while we were on a journey, and I mentioned to him about communion, and and he asked me, well, why would I be speaking to him? But the reason I spoke to this person about communion is because this person had been in the church for an amount of time. He said that he had a good relationship with the pastor. I didn't know the pastor at all at that point in time. I didn't know the church at all. So I spoke to him about it, because he may understand why the church does things the way it does things, the way it does it. He didn't. And, it's pretty much either that night or the night after. He said to me he didn't really want to be speaking about that sort of stuff because that wasn't his area anyway. And from that point in time, we didn't speak about that sort of stuff. It was a matter about that sort of time anyway. Like I say, the reason why I mentioned it to him is, that's one thing I'd noticed, and because he's been at the church for a while, and this is something I've noticed in other churches, I just wondered if he knew why they were doing that in this church. And well, certainly the point in this church, why they have communion every week rather than once a month, which is more common. But this whole point about red liquid instead of wine, it's a very, very common thing. The pastor did mention that maybe that's because of the volume of alcohol in wine. I don't think that's the case. I mean, the one I was using the other day is a 14.5% volume, but I'm pretty sure you can get ones far lower than that. To be honest, I wouldn't see the point. But generally speaking, I think the same amount of wine as you get in the little finger balls, if you fill them up with wine instead of with the liquid, that amount of wine is not going to get someone drunk to the point where they can't drive or anything like that. So I don't see how that's going to be an issue, even if it's 14%. You're still way within the limit, or you should be. But I would understand it from the point of view of wine if they said, because you can't get good wine at a cheap price. I would understand that. Or you can't get good wine at much, much lower volume of alcohol. If that was the argument, I could understand it. Because certainly getting a good quality wine, one that tastes nice, is difficult. That's not an easy thing to do. I've tried a few types now, and no, they weren't great. So there you go. So as I say, questions, lots of questions to ask right now. Well, put it this way, I think God wants me to go there, but I just don't know why. I don't. Right now. I don't know why, because, but that's going to be a bigger problem if the dogs come back here, because, certainly I could still go to the Tuesday night evening meeting, but not the Sunday. I wouldn't be able to do the Sunday. Wouldn't be able to do that because of the fact that, you've got 11 dogs and you're trying to make sure that they don't tear the house to pieces, or tear your shoes to pieces, or your chair to pieces, which they were doing. Much more difficult to leave them for 2 hours at 10 o'clock than it is to leave them for 2 hours at 7 o'clock or whatever, because I can get them knackered before then. I can't do that early in the morning as effectively. It puts up more pressure on me, and with sleep apnea and stuff like that, not easy. So, let's see what happens with everything. Because there are answers coming to questions that will be coming fairly soon. And as I say with the dogs, yeah, they weren't supposed to be in my life. They were supposed to be taken away so I could go on that journey. Am I still on a journey, which means they can't come back? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Everything's up in the air right now. I don't know what God's plan is and what he wants to do, so therefore I'm in a position right now where I don't know. I can't say any more than that, really. So there you go. You take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon and have a fantastic week. But yeah, if I get answers to questions, I will share them. And so, yeah. So you take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.